As a software engineer, I've been using Claude Sonnet a lot, and recently I started using the prompt caching feature, and it's cut the cost of my API usage by 5x. This is because you can see that cached read input tokens are 10 times cheaper. However, the Anthropic Prompt Caching feature is quite scary based on their documentation, and it defaults to being off, whereas for nearly all other models it defaults on. But don't get scared by their documentation, it's really simple to use and will immediately save you an enormous amount of money. At the start of their documentation, they've got all this scary stuff, and they completely undersell the feature. But if we scroll down a bit further, we can see the most important part of their documentation, which they've buried right at the bottom. They've got examples of how to use it for different use cases. For example, if you're caching large content, in your Anthropic API call, you just stick this little cache control thing in the last content block that does not change regularly. If you're doing a multi-turn conversation, which covers all chatbots and also all agentic use cases, you just want to stick this at the end of the last message. Like, it's incredibly simple. And this will immediately save you at least like 5x cost. It's also just about always worth putting the cache control on the system prompt for almost any use case with any volume at all. But this documentation that they've got here is so scary and complicated for such a simple feature. I recommend give it a try. Just stick this cache control ephemeral thing on the last content block, and depending on how much usage you have flowing through, you'll save dollars to millions of dollars. There's only one catch to this, which is that it is 25% more expensive to do the initial cache filling. This is basically how the Anthropic caching works under the hood. First, Anthropic's got their model here. They've also got a weight cache. The weight cache is a mapping from the input content that you put in, flattened into text, which maps to all of the activations. The reason you pay extra for caching is because they have to store this 1 terabyte of activations in their cache. They only store it for 5 minutes by default because of how expensive it is. When your requests come in and it has a cache hit, it will feed those activations into the model to avoid it having to reprocess all of those input tokens. This leads to an absolutely massive cost saving because a lot less tokens have to get ingested by the model for every single request.